recorded episode. That's what this is, a pre-recorded stream that I'll be put up on Friday for you guys to watch. It's part 21. This will be the Friday episode out there, which I'll pop onto YouTube for you guys to watch. We're going to discuss game week 17. Yes, well, we're going to look at the fixtures. We're going to look at the team selection that I've got for game week 17, and we're going to look at my captain's choice. As always, I'm on the socials. I'm on X AJ1985P. I'm on Facebook AJP-85 channel. I'll get it right eventually. And Twitch A_J_P_8_5. And I'm sure you guys are watching on the wonderful YouTube. AJ Hardy85, as always, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let's get some details out. Let's get some interaction. Let's talk all things FPL, Fantasy, Premier League. Yes, we shall. It's all game week 17, and I'll get you guys seeing what I see straight away so you can check it out as always. So we start off with the fixtures. Let's have a quick look at what's going on. So Saturday, 21st of December, we have some juicy games. There'll be Villa versus Manchester City at Villa Park at 12. That's the early kickoff on Saturday. That match, I can see Manchester City doing something. I know Villa are doing okay. I think that maybe the Champions League has caught up with them a little bit. It's took a little bit out of them, but that sort of impetus, that attacking sort of style that they play at. So I think this could play into Manchester City's hands a little bit, and I think we could see Erling Haaland doing something in this one. I really do. I've said that for a few weeks now, but I do think that could be the game and the catalyst for him. Then we've got a fair few 3 o'clock fixtures, haven't we? We have Brentford versus Forest. That's going to be a good game because Brentford are good at home. You know, I could see that being a couple of goals from both teams there. Forest are really good as well, solid, can score. They perform well against Villa despite, conceding, but they came back and they did really, really well in that game. So I can see Forest and Brentford getting a draw in that game, possibly a 2-2. I see it being quite attacking, but I do see Wissa and Mbeumo being involved for Brentford, and naturally Mr. Wood, Chris Wood, will do something for Forest, maybe even Gibbs White, who's being in form at the moment for them. So possibly a 2-2 on that one. The Villa game, Man City, by the way, I see being like a 2-1 to Man City. Scrape victory. Ipswich Town versus Newcastle. Sorry, Ipswich, I know you've got a bit of a revival sort of thing going on, but Newcastle are going to win this, very simply put. You'll be fairly okay defensively, but Isak and Gordon, especially if Gordon plays as well, I can see them carving opportunities out and getting maybe a 2-3-1 victory in this game, maybe even a clean sheet for Newcastle, a 3-0 or 2-0. West Ham, Brighton. West Ham have been doing quite well, haven't they? Lopetegui surprised me a little bit. I actually thought if it wasn't for that insane goal for Unal, I would have thought that West Ham deserved to win that game. But then he scored that cracker of a free kick, didn't he? Bournemouth, and that was it, 1-1 in the end. So I can see them getting a draw in this game. I think Brighton are capable of scoring. We know how attacking they can be. But West Ham are a bit shifty as well when it comes to conceding. They should have seen out that game against Bournemouth potentially, but they were away from home. I see a 1-1 in this one as well. I do. I see Bowen getting a goal for West Ham and Brighton. It depends on Welbeck a lot because I think Welbeck's been a great player for them so far, hasn't he? He's done really, really well. So potentially a Welbeck goal if he's playing. Otherwise, maybe Matoma because he's another really good creative attacking player. Then we've got the 5:30 kickoff, haven't we? Crystal Palace versus Arsenal, a sort of flip reverse of the Carabao Cup match, which will be on Wednesday. So Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. I see an Arsenal victory I really, really do. I don't see it being clean. I see it being a 2-1, just about scraping a victory against them. I see Crystal Palace scoring against us. Ismail Assar's on form, so he's a man to watch. Maybe Eze, if he's back from injury. I'm not sure what his injury status is right now. But Ismail Assar's done a lot in his absence so far. So him to do something against Arsenal, but Arsenal to score. And I see Havertz involved and Saka. Those two guys definitely doing something to get the crystal ball out. Arsenal 2-1 win in that game. So if you've got Havertz or Saka, you're going to get something out of them. Isak, I think, as well. Mbeumo, maybe Wissa, Wood, Bowen, if you've got any of those assets for Aston Villa. If they're going to score Duran or Watkins, I think, it depends on who plays. Again, that's up in the air, isn't it, these days? And Haaland, I think, is going to do something for City if he held on to him. And then we've got the Sunday match, haven't we? Matches, should we say? Everton versus Chelsea. Everton have done okay of late. They're not going to get a clean sheet against Chelsea. I think I can see Chelsea scoring Annoyingly, I see Palmer getting a goal. I see maybe an assist for Enzo, possibly a 2-1 in this game, maybe a 2-0, maybe a 1-0 scrape victory for Chelsea, but a win nonetheless. Sorry to any Everton owners, especially anyone who's got Tarkowski or Branthwaite. Young is a popular one, isn't he? Ashley Young or Pickford. Pickford might get a couple of save points, mind you, in this game as well, because I see Chelsea being quite attacking. Then we've got Fulham versus Southampton. Good match, but Fulham are going to win. I think they'll scrape a win, maybe a 2-0, possibly a 1-0, hard fought 2-0. Iwobi, I think he'll do something in this game. He didn't do much in the previous game, but prior to that, he's been on fire, hasn't he, Alex Iwobi? I think he'll perform in this game. And Muniz, I think, will do something as well. I think he'll get a chance to play or start or get a few more minutes. Obviously, Jimenez has taken the forward position to a degree as well. Leicester, Wolverhampton, what a game this is. At Leicester's ground. It's a tricky one, isn't it, really? I think I could see a draw. I know that Cunha is potentially going to be banned, isn't he? So if he is, that could affect it a little bit. They still have Strand Larsen, but Cunha and Strand Larsen are the go-to players, aren't they, essentially attacking-wise for Wolves. It's a tricky one, but then Leicester got Vardy, haven't they? Can he do something in this game, potentially? Bonawate is a good player in midfield as well, so that's why I don't see massive crazy. I think if anything's going to happen for Leicester, it's going to be Vardy, isn't it? He's going to score. Wolverhampton Wanderers depends on Cunha's ban. Strand Larsen maybe get a goal for them, nick an equaliser. If anything, it might be a scrape victory for Leicester, 2-1 or 1-1. I think it might be more draw, but maybe if they're going to get goals, Vardy needs to be on form in that game. Then we've got another 2 o'clock kickoff as Manchester United take on Bournemouth. I can see a Man United victory. I can see goals for Bruno Fernandes in this one. I'm hoping for something from Amad Diallo, and same goes for the Enzo Fernandez transfer I made against Everton. I'll explain why. But Manchester United, I hope that they get 2 goals against Bournemouth, and I hope that Amad Diallo is involved in both of them. Goal and an assist would be lovely. Thank you. But I can see Bournemouth scoring. I really can. Semenyo did really well for them against West Ham. He should have scored. Evan Nelson's done okay for them as well, hasn't he? Kluivert played fairly well against West Ham as well. So, yeah, I can see a goal for Bournemouth, but I can't see a win. United victory at 2 o'clock at Old Trafford. And then we've got another big match, haven't we? Tottenham versus Liverpool, the biggest match of the weekend, in my opinion. It's live, 4:30 on Sky Sports Premier League. It's at the Tottenham Hotspur ground, and I see a victory for Spurs. Just, and I know it's shocked a lot of people. Liverpool have been a bit up and down. I can see this going at sort of 1-1 for a period of time in this game. Son, I think, is going to get a goal for Spurs. Salah will score for Liverpool. And I think what's going to happen is going to be a bit of a shock. And I actually think one of the defenders might score the winner for Tottenham. I really do. I think, if anything, it's going to be 2-1, maybe a 2-2. But I can just about see Spurs doing something. It sounds weird saying that, because Liverpool are a great team. They performed really, really well in the Premier League so far this season. But I just can see Spurs. They do this against big teams, don't they? They pull out this sort of win from nowhere, and then they go and lose against a team that they should be beating. But I think they might do something. They might turn up on Sunday. A lot of that might depend on what they do also in the Carabao Cup as well. So, they've got Man United. So let's see who they play in that game. If they play the first teamers, then it might be a different question on Sunday. But if they rest players like Son, Kulusevski, whether they could afford to do that, I don't know. But if they did, then maybe there's a chance they'll do well against Liverpool. Good thing is they've got a few days to recover. So those are the fixtures for the weekend. And we then look at my team, don't we? And this is going to be it, I think. As you can see, I've got Raya in goal. Minute toss-up between him and Fabianski. You've got Brighton at home, but I just see Raya. I bought him in for the reason of playing him pretty much every game. What's the point of having him if I'm not going to do that? So that was always the intention. Gomez or Dragusin. It's a tricky one. I just said that technically Spurs are going to score 2 goals against Liverpool, but, I'm putting Dragusin on the bench just in case. Unlikely event, but just in case Van de Ven and Romero's news come back as positive and they both play, and Dragusin may come on for 5 or 10 minutes and they get 1 point, which might be more than I get from Gomez anyway. But I'm putting Dragusin on the bench not only because he's playing Liverpool, but because I don't know if he's going to technically play at 90. I expect he will, but you never know. It happened to me last time when I put Dragusin in, and then Van de Ven and Romero were declared fit, and thankfully, one of them got injured, and I got the majority of Dragusin's points in the end. Colwell against Everton is a definite. And Lewis against Aston Villa is going to be a definite. I'm hoping he plays 60 minutes or more. Again, there's a bit of a defensive thing going on with Man City, so Lewis being back may hopefully draw that interest. Then I've got Saka as vice captain. He faces Crystal Palace. I may change that to Haaland. Haven't decided just yet, but the captaincy is on Mo Salah. There's a saying, always captain Mo, King Mo. That's it. Mo is the captain against Tottenham. He will score, I think, in this game. Probably a penalty in that one. So Crystal Palace, Saka, I think, also get a goal or an assist in the game against Crystal Palace. I think Tottenham are going to concede against Liverpool, and Salah's going to be involved in that one as the captaincy. Amad Diallo, you can tell, put straight in. He's got Bournemouth. He's got a favourable fixture, and Enzo Fernandez has a favourable fixture against Everton. So those two are in. New signings straight into the first 11 alongside Visa up front, who plays against Forest. I think he'll do okay against them. Jackson, I think he'll do well and probably score against Everton. And Haaland, I think, will score against Villa. So I'm hopeful that this weekend is full of goals for me, especially with those front seven: Saka, Salah, Amad Diallo, Enzo, Haaland, Jackson, and Visa. The knock-on effect to all of this is the bench is Fabianski, Johnson's first substitute, because even if he plays or doesn't play a full 90, I expect he will probably not do much, to be honest with you. I might be wrong. He might score. Technically, he's at home. He might get an assist, if anything. But my worry is he plays against Manchester United in the Carabao Cup and doesn't get a full 90 in the match against Liverpool on Sunday. Kwanzaa's benched naturally because I don't think he's going to start in any form on the Sunday. And Dragusin I've put as third defender, who I'll probably swap for second defender right now, which you'll see live. There you go. So Kwanzaa will be the far end of my defence on the bench. So there you go. That is the team to face the game week 70 coming up. Remember, ladies and gents, it's an 11 o'clock. That's right, an 11 o'clock deadline on Saturday morning for your teams. Don't forget, all right? I know what you guys are like, and you start whinging, you don't set your alarms, set them. I am not particularly happy with my overall rank right now. I'm 1,433,869. That is not normally where I am. I'm going to be very honest with you. My team's been a bit up and down in the past few weeks, and I'm expecting a little bit more of a streamlined week this week. I want a good score. I want to beat the average score, which I didn't do for the past few weeks. I want to beat it. I want to beat it heavily, and I want to work my way into a slightly better rank. I want to be less than 1 million. That's the plan for the next few game weeks, and then I'll work my way getting closer and closer and closer. The best I have done overall in playing fantasy in the many years I've been playing it, I've been 50,000th. Before as well. That was really, really, really good. It was one of my first few years of playing it. So I am hoping to get closer to that. But, it's more and more players have joined every single year. We're on nearly 11 million, if you look at that, 10,974,239 players on fantasy in total now. That wasn't the case many moons ago when I first started. It was a couple of million, which wasn't too bad. Now it's mad. So, there's lots of you playing it out there. But as always, ladies and gents, you can see that's my fantasy team that I've put out there. Some good, juicy fixtures on the weekend. Fixtures in which you expect the big players to perform in. The Haalands I expect to do well against the Villa. And Buemo. We expect to do well against Forest, but I also expect Forest to do well against Brentford as well. Newcastle expect to do well against Ipswich. So if you've got Newcastle assets, this weekend is potentially your weekend to get a fair amount of points. Isak and Gordon, I'm looking at you two. West Ham assets expect to be a draw, I think, major in that one. Arsenal expected to be a tough game against Crystal Palace at Selhurst, but I still expect us to win just about. But then I said that again to Fulham as well, if you remember, and that ended up being a draw. And I also expect Everton and Chelsea. I expect Chelsea to do well, but Everton again surprised us all last week, didn't they, with a 0-0 draw against Arsenal? So you never know what they're going to do against Chelsea at home. Fulham, Southampton, again, that's a bit of a nothing fixture, but if you've got Fulham players like Smith Rowe, probably won't start. If you've got Iwobi, a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon. I think he might do well against Southampton. Anthony Robertson, a lot of people have gone for him as a fullback. I think he might get an assist in that game. He'll probably get a clean sheet and an assist potentially. Leicester game against Wolves, I think it's going to be goals. Probably not many, but one each in that one, so don't expect miracles. Cunha owners, Vardy owners, possibly you might be Getting some out of that game. Man United versus Bournemouth again. I expect Fernandes to be involved. I expect Amad Diallo now. The expectation from him, because I brought him in, is on his shoulders. I hope he performs well against Bournemouth. Then we've got Spurs versus Liverpool, haven't we? And that's the big match. You know, I'm not expecting miracles, but I'm expecting goals in this game. You know, I'm expecting Johnson to disappoint me a little bit, which will force my hand. May even force it before the weekend, but I might hold off transferring out Brennan Johnson before the game news on the team news on Sunday, and also more importantly tomorrow. If he does well, that might force my hand on the transfer on Saturday when we get our transfers back again and they get refreshed. Liverpool, I expect Salah to do something in this game, probably a goal, maybe an assist again, but at least some points on the board for us as captainers. And there will be a lot of people who captain him this weekend. So as always, ladies and gents, that is the end of part 21. That's right. It is a one-off stream, not live stream. This is pre-recorded. I'll be sticking it up on X, the link, and also the link up on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube naturally for you to watch also. So yeah, it's a pre-recorded show. It will be stuck on YouTube for you guys to watch. The link will be there. So obviously, please do watch it. It's part 21. This is all game week 17. It's all details about that. It's my team selection. It's my captaincy, and it's my thoughts on the fixtures that are, you know, that are there and basically going to happen. You ain't avoiding them. So ensure people you get your teams in before 11 o'clock on Saturday. Set yourself an alarm at 10. Get up. Obviously, don't do it a few minutes before. I've tried that before myself. My God, the servers go mental. Your transfers don't go through properly if you do it 5 or 10 minutes before, even 15 before the deadline. I've had problems before. So don't be doing it at 1:45 or 10 to 11 or 5 to 11. Otherwise, that's it. Don't expect it to work properly. I know they're trying to work it out, but it is what it is, really. Some really, really, really good fixtures on the weekend. As always, guys, you know my socials are out there. Facebook, X, Twitch, and also on YouTube. Do comment. Don't just be one of those people that just look at it and go, no, I'll watch 2 seconds of it. That's it. This is some bloke just talking. He's not. I do have great knowledge and I love football. I love all things football. I love all things fantasy. You know, my team isn't the greatest right this second, but it will be. I think those changes that I've made, bringing in Amad Diallo, bringing in Enzo, getting rid of Rutter and getting rid of getting rid of Rutter and Rodgers. Rutter and Rodgers, there you go. Rutter, Rodgers, Enzo, Amad. There you go. That's the change that I've made. It's created some cash in the bank as well, which is really quite important when you think about it. You know, by making those 2 changes now, I have $1 million in the bank. That $1 million will be shared across the team. Now, obviously, and I've not hidden this fact, I plan to bring in Konate again when he is back to full fitness and playing for Liverpool. He'll be an immediate transfer back in when he shows the fitness levels that he's going to play every single game in 90 minutes. So Gomez will be out immediately and in will come Konate straight away. We know that 0.3 million of that 1 million in the bank will be used for that transfer. That's right. So 0.3 will be straight in and used, which will leave me with 0.7. That's right. Which you might think, God, you're playing with the pennies here. I am a little bit. I am. I have Dragu Sin. I've already mentioned that he will not be in the team for long periods. He is typically a player that I've brought in as a temporary cover, but a good, solid player to have in your team with a half-decent team in Tottenham at 4.3 million. He will change to a 4.4 or 4.5 or maybe even another 4.3, which will leave me with some money in the bank. So I'll either be with 0.6, 0.5 million, and there it is. I need to keep 0.5 million to use for an assistant manager. Therefore, if you think about it, 0.7 in the bank after buying Konate back, although he might come down and I might get 0.8. So that leaves me with 0.2 to 0.3 million to spend improving my defence. That's where we're at. And you laugh, and so do I, Rob. But there are players in that sort of area that you can buy. Anderson at Fulham is an example. 4.2 million for a player who's really, really good last season, who's joined Fulham. He's had an injury, hasn't he? But he's a good player. He joined, didn't he, from Crystal Palace. He was really good for them. You know, Lenny Yoro, if he starts playing for Man United, starts getting his fitness, starts proving himself to Amorim, he could be a steal at 4.3 million at Man United. He could, really. I know United a bit up and down, but, you know, he's a good player to have. Mikolenko, if Everton keep playing well against the big sides, why wouldn't you consider Mikolenko in that sense as well? We look at a lot of players like that. Even the Newcastle players, I spoke about them previously. If they start playing well, you've got Botman, haven't you, come back from injury? He could shore up that defence. Burn, he's a current player inside the Newcastle team, isn't he? So he's a brilliant player in that sense as well. So why not consider Newcastle as well? So we laugh, and I do know and appreciate I'm working in that sort of cheap, low price. You're not going to get great points from them pool in that sense, but there's still a lot of players. There's a lot of value, even in 4.4 and 4.3 million. The guys over at Wolves, if they start playing well under Victor Pereira, why not consider Dawson? Why not consider Totti if he keeps playing as well? I'm not saying they're the greatest players in the world, but why wouldn't you? Currently, right now, if you're looking at Nottingham Forest, Nico Williams, he's 4.3, is he right this second? If you've got 4.3 million, like I have in Dragusin, and they start picking up again, and he starts showing signs of being a permanent left back player for them, then why not? There you go. He's a potential player, isn't he? Really, Chalobah. You laugh all you want, but Crystal Palace are a fairly decent side. If they start getting some clean sheets and start showing signs of that, maybe he's the one. Malacia, Martinez, they're 4.4 million as well. Martinez especially is a big one, but he's a yellow card magnet, and we need to get to week 19 very quickly for him and Nicholas Jackson, by the way, because those two, one more yellow and they're out. They are suspended for the next fixture. Don't forget, they're a yellow card away from a suspension. So game week 19 is the threshold. So we need to wait a couple more game weeks. The players like Villa, again, not sure, but again, they're 4.4 million for their main players, aren't they, really? Konza, Cash, Pau, Torres as well. Van der Ven is 4.5 if you want to keep the Tottenham sort of thing going. So there are players in and around that, that you could bring in that might be quite useful. So laugh all we will at the fact that it's a cheap and cheerful price bracket. There are players that are out there that are worthwhile considering. So, that's something I point out. I do need to keep 0.5. I do plan to keep 0.5. I don't need to spend much more than 0.3 or 4 to upgrade. I could technically, if I see absolutely no sign whatsoever that Kwanzaa is going to get any time or any consistency, which it looks like he's not. Gomez is the backup, let's be honest. Kwanzaa could easily be a substitute out, a transfer out, shall we say, and I could bring in a 4 million player, an Ipswich player or a Southampton player. It depends again on who Southampton bring in. They're bringing Corberan in or Shubland or something like that. Evolved from Sheffield Wednesday. If they bring in someone like that and show signs of improvement, then why not bring a Bednarek in as an option, really? Otherwise, it's over to Ipswich, isn't it, really, where you'll get a point or 2 points every week, or a Leicester player where you're going to get 1 or 2 points as well. So those are options, really. So there's players out there for 4 million that you could bring in. But as for the rest, 4.3, 4.4, 4.3, not as good, but there's players there. Anderson, we spoke about Mikolenko, Totti. Those 3 players for 4.3 are options. Otherwise, 4.4, there's a good range of players in there that have dropped in price that I could easily bring in that might do a job for a few weeks, or at least give me that option for when I bench boost. And that's what I always look for. Do I have starting players in every single one of those positions? Every single one of my players, are they starting? Because if they are, I can bench boost, can't I? And if I can bench boost, I get that chip out of the way at the best time. I'll pick the right fixtures for it as well. But otherwise, ladies and gents, game week 17 is on Saturday. 11 o'clock is the deadline. Make sure you get your teams in. This is an early video. It's not a live stream. I'll be sticking it up on YouTube and sharing that link as a scheduled post on X and on Facebook for you guys to watch my thoughts. It'll be posted up on Friday afternoon, so have a look out for that. Likely in the late afternoon, probably about 3, 4, maybe 5 o'clock. I haven't decided what time exactly I'm going to put out yet. It is pre-recorded. It is put on there. My team's on there. Let me know, obviously, in the comments what you think. Let me know, obviously, about in the previous parts in the comments what you think of my Amad Diallo and my Enzo Fernandez transfer. Let me know about your team or compare teams. I'll give you some feedback and advice as to who you've got in yours. It's probably going to be completely different to mine. But otherwise, as always, ladies and gents, thanks for watching. You've been awesome. Thanks for watching and viewing on YouTube. As always, like, subscribe, and follow all of my socials, Facebook, X, Twitch, and on YouTube. And I will see you wonderful people on Monday at 10 o'clock. Live stream again. I've been AJ. Thanks for watching.